Negotiation has its ups and downs. While we communicate with the other party, there might be difficult conversations where we feel like screaming, pulling our hair, or throwing in the towel. During these bumps on the road, how can we keep the objective to solve the problems and not lose track of the need to maximize value for all the stakeholders?
So let us be honest. What is felt as hard or unpleasant moments in a negotiation will not suddenly become easy and joyful by magic. Our goal is to make these difficult moments as short as possible and as conducive as possible to growth, rather than let toxic emotions take over and lead towards deadlocks. In this respect, let us try some powerful moves. They are no panacea, but they can be handy in overcoming many hurdles.
Let's use the people, process, and problems responsible framework to analyze how our brain can either hinder or help us here. An instinctive approach to difficult situations, or System 1 thinking, pushes us to react fast. Without really thinking, negative emotions, such as anger or fear, can push us in the wrong direction, where we resort to bad habits with a Pavlovian reflex. For example, if the other gets mad, raises their voice, or says nasty words, I might get mad in return, use a louder voice, and answer in kind. Of course, this eye for an eye approach most of the time leads to escalation, hurting the people and relationships, preventing the production of constructive solutions, and blocking the process. This approach also installs an atmosphere that is far from professional and satisfactory. A responsible approach to difficult situations therefore suggests a first powerful move. Instead of reacting like an elephant in a china shop, we need to step back, go to the balcony, pause, and diagnose the situation. Awareness is key. If you become an observer, you can notice emotions running high and negative. Just watch what is going on like a fly on the wall. If there are toxic emotions in the room, it is the clear signal that the situation has to do with people. Focus on them, give them priority, put people first again. Thus, simultaneously, put the problems on the back burner. You will return to them later. And in terms of process, buy some time. As my friend and colleague Larry Zuskind says, if you want to go fast, you need to go slowly.
Now that you have diagnosed the situation and shifted to people first, you need a second powerful move, this time to act responsibly. Instead of listening to your own loud internal voice, turn to empathy towards the other. Get in the passenger seat. Look at them. Listen without judgment and try to understand them. Be curious. Take notes. Do not assume you get their perspective, but take the time to restate what they say and what you see. Restate not simply their words, their perceptions of facts or their opinions, but potentially the emotions they exhibit, for example, through your reading of facial expressions and body language. Try to be as non-judgmental as you can whenever you restate. Check with them that you got it right. If I understood you correctly, anything I missed? Invite them to correct your understanding until you get it right. And try not to get frustrated if you get it wrong. Rather, see the clarification process as an opportunity to strengthen the relationship. Then, ask open questions of clarification. Probe. Hopefully, at the end of this stage, the other side's emotions have subsided, and it might be time to return to the problems.
Indeed, after you have actively demonstrated your empathy to comprehend the other, use it as a springboard to convince them. It is time to assert yourself. You might need to express your own sentiment with an I message. I was frustrated when, or a more neutral it message that is depersonalized. It was frustrating when. This shift towards assertiveness while keeping the empathy high opens the way to return to the problems with a third powerful move. Reframe positively any personal attack on you as an attack on the problem. Behind any difficult situation, look for the silver lining, for anything in the other's message that can bring back things forward. For example, if the other says, "You are incompetent," reframe it positively as, "Well, I see your interest at bringing more competence here. Let's move in that direction." Or as a search for justification, such as, "Why don't we determine the criteria of competence together?" etc. Or reframe an attack on you as a search for solution. For example, if the other side is positional, "We must do X," you might welcome it with, "Well, X is an option. Thanks for bringing it to the table. What else can we do? What other solution can we imagine that fits both sides' interests?"
You might have tried all the above moves and still your hands are full. And you may get tired because the conversation remains difficult. It is now time to contemplate a fourth powerful move, which is all about process. First, it might be time to negotiate or renegotiate the rules of engagement, the guidelines for a civil conversation. Second, if whenever you speak you're interrupted, why don't you ask the other, "I wish to bring up a process point. I have noticed in our conversation that as someone speaks, there seems to be a tendency to interrupt the other and not let them finish. Can we agree together not to interrupt each other? Maybe you speak 5 minutes without interruption, and then I speak 5 minutes without interruption. Do you agree?" Third, if you feel the situation becomes overwhelming for you or for the other, another great process move is to ask for a break. 4, sometimes someone behaves in a certain way with one person, condescendingly, for example, but if you bring new players to the table, your boss or a colleague, suddenly the other may adopt a more constructive approach.
To summarize, 4 moves for responsible actions in difficult conversation. First, diagnose. Second, empathize with the people. Third, reframe an attack on you as an attack on the problem. And fourth, renegotiate the process.